the regularly scheduled mayor and council meeting for Monday, December 8th, 2025. Please join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from the closed session of November 10th and the regular session of November 24th.
Motion to approve.
So a motion by Councilmember Orris.
Second.
The second by Councilmember Green. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect the votes unanimous with Councilmember Nichols absent. Up next is agenda item 2. These are items for approval. Before each one of these are actioned by the mayor and council, there will be the opportunity to engage in public comment. First item on the agenda is agenda item 2A, and that's the award of on-call engineering and stormwater service contract. And our town administrator, Mary Boland's going to run point. Before we do, I want to steal a little bit of your thunder for a second. I think that it's important, the mayor and council have always asked that certain contracts go back out for bid periodically. I think it's part of our due diligence with taxpayer funds. But I do think that it speaks heavily when the recommendation is to continue with our existing EA engineering and DBF, Davis Bowen and Verdell. That speaks highly to the work that both firms are doing and to the collaborative effort that they have with the town and town staff. So, Mary, thank you. And thank you to the council members that served on the group as well.
My staff report pretty well outlines kind of what the process was, what the RFQ process was speaking to and requesting, and at the end of the day, excuse me, it was decided that the wisest course for continuity, for consistency, was to continue with the incumbents. We've been satisfied with their services, and that's our recommendation.
Thank you. We'll open up the conversation with the council, and then we'll open it up to the public.
I was one of the council members on here as well, and it was a very informative process overall, but specifically with the stormwater side. As always, I am proud that we get good submissions, and usually makes the decisions, not easy sometimes, but in this particular case, staying with our incumbents, I think, is the best move, and the quality of the work thus far, I think, speaks volumes. So I really enjoyed it, and enjoyed meeting with everybody and talking, and yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
I too was involved in the interview process. It was very thorough, very in-depth. I certainly appreciated being on there. Lots of interaction between the applicants and the members of the interview committee. But I think we made a good decision. Stick with current engineering services that we now use.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments by the council? Open it up to the public. Anyone from the public that would like to address the mayor and council regarding motion 2025-68? Seeing none, we'll take action by the council.
Motion to approve on-call engineering contracts as follows: general on-call for DBF and on-call stormwater engineering EA.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Merritt.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, let the record reflect that motion 2025-68 passes unanimously with Councilmember Nichols absent. Thank you. Thank you all as well. Up next is agenda item 2B, and that's motion 2025-69 and the declaration of surplus property. We do have the Chief of Police, Arnold Downing, Electric Utility Director Tim Lawrence, and then Water Resources Director Jamie Latcham running point on this. So if the two of you want to start, Jamie's not here, so
Good evening, everyone.
whatever you say about water is factual.
We actually have one patrol vehicle that has not been on the road in the last 2 months since we had the replacement vehicle. It is a 2016 Ford Explorer with 142,000 miles that we wish to go ahead and have surplus.
Thank you, Chief. Tim?
The 2007, it's a High Ranger 38-foot bucket truck. This is the truck that was slated to be replaced 2.5 years ago. It took that long to get our new truck, which came in. Since the new truck came in, we wanted to put it to its paces, basically, to make sure it's okay and it's good to go. And I'd like to have this added to surplus to basically get rid of it.
Thank you. When folks look at this, they might be puzzled a little bit to see only 59,000 miles on there, but the hours are really what are the
Yes,
kicker with
it-
this piece of equipment.
You see 59,000 miles on it, but it's probably got 15,000 hours of running, just sitting, working on poles, that type of thing. The hydraulic system is wore out on it. It's got a lot of hours on it.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And I'll speak to the vac truck a little bit. Very similar to what Tim just reported. It's only got 15,000 miles, but that's nothing compared to its actual hours.
Yeah.
And very much in the same way that Tim held on to the old truck kind of until the new truck was worked out, Jamie's going to do the same with the vac truck. Hold the old one while they go through the learning curve on the new one, but they have received it.
Finally. Well, that one wasn't as bad. The lead time on that wasn't bad.
No.
Your bucket truck was astronomical. All right, and then the gas meter, and both gas meters are just end of life.
Right.
All right, any questions for Mary or the department heads? Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Any comments from the public regarding motion 2025-69? Seeing none, take action, motion approved. So, motion by Vice President Burrell, second by Councilmember Orris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record reflect that the motion 2025-69 passes unanimously with Councilmember Nichols absent. All right, thank you all. Up next is agenda item 3, and that's the town administrator's reports and the departmentals that are in the packet.
I don't have a whole lot this evening, except to note that this is the only mayor and council meeting for December. Our next meeting will be January 12th, I believe. Holidays coming up, the 24th, Wednesday, Thursday, 24th and 25th, Wednesday and Thursday, December 31st and January 1st. Offices will be open on the Friday immediately following both of those holidays. The town hall renovations, records. It's just, it's a huge undertaking.
But it's getting close.
It is getting close. Again, the bids are expected for presentation on February 9th. Bids actually, the process opened today. They went out for advertising today. And moving right along.
Okay, it's coming. All right, any questions for Mary or any questions regarding the departmentals in the packet?
Mary, I had a question as well. If you can speak on behalf of planning. If you look on page, I guess it was 18 of the packet, at the bottom of the plan, we're digitized easements in Henry's Mill area. What does that mean? What kind of easements? And are you doing like sections of town?
Actually, Kate, do you have familiarity with that? Kate's still helping the planning commission or planning department quite a bit. I imagine it's just the scanning, starting the scanning process.
Yeah, they're going through their files the same as we are here in town hall. So anything that can be digitized to become electronic, that they're in the process of doing that.
So while Henry's Mill is an HOA, are you doing that with all other HOAs? Or with other parts of
That's
town?
the plan.
That's the plan?
Yeah.
And keep in mind that yes, it is an HOA, but we would still maintain easements to allow us access for inspections and that kind of thing.
Right, not just,
And utility
when we
easements.
see this, we're going to anticipate seeing other areas.
Sure,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Also, I wanted to talk about the parade. Since there's department chairs here, or department leaders here, could we talk about it now? Because we could bring up a mayor and council meeting too, but there's a lot of parades that were bullets. Okay. Can we get anyone can really answer? Just a review of how parade night went, how parade day went as well. Okay.
Let me just start by saying not one single chair was removed from Main Street all day. Our department did not receive any calls about chairs. all day?
Town hall had 2 calls confirming what time people could put chairs out. That was the extent of it.
I think that it was the smoothest parade transition that we have had. Every year, it gets better and better, and I think this year, just from the planning standpoint, the day of, the after reports, just talking to other staff, talking to the community, talking with the police, they completely uneventful with the exception of the event.
Well said, yeah. Police department?
Well, again, we had an incident that happened at the Worcester Tech School, so we're aware of that. And we paid attention to the parties who were supposed to be involved, and that was taken care of without anybody really even knowing about it. So I think it was very smooth. I think the decisions that were made in the pre-planning went really well.
Okay. Jimmy, I know at the parking lot, yeah.
Yeah, we had like we did with tree lighting, we actually had crew members in the parking lot parking cars. We packed the whole parking lot the whole way back to the railroad tracks. There was probably almost 200 cars in there again, like we've done in the past, the last couple events. So we really worked with getting them cars. And then we were able to bring them employees and distribute them throughout the town for other areas that they could help out. Because about 6:30, parking lot was full, so we were able to bring them home.
Gotcha.
One of the things I just wanted to say about, like, you know, with the chairs and stuff, we're an active tourist destination, and shoppers, retail stores are open during the day. When I was driving up and down the streets, there was 15, 20, 30 people on the streets all day shopping. You've seen groups of people going in stores, out stores, to the restaurants, all throughout the day. And the chairs just not being there doesn't create a safety issue. And that is the whole thing about the chairs not being on the street, is safety. And you know what, it keeps our clean appearance, our unique appearance of what we are. There's no chairs on the streets. People are here to see. There was a lot of people here during the day that didn't come to the parade. You have the travelers that are coming through, you had groups of people that are here shopping. I was on the street, I don't know, 50 times, you know, going up and down. You could just see the groups going through the town, hitting all the shops, and then.
Right. To back up what Jimmy said, I talked to some of the business owners, and they had one of the busiest Thursday parade days they've had in years. So they did very well Thursday during the day.
Weather was perfect. I mean, we had a good weather. It was 40s, mid-40s throughout the day. We were lucky it wasn't Friday, you know, so.
How did businesses do on Ice Berlin Day?
It was packed.
The businesses had an extraordinary weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And
Because the road was closed at noon on that Friday,
Correct.
as opposed to 5.
I mean, the parade setup, and I will say, changing gears for a moment, I will say that it appeared, at least the areas that I traveled, that the side streets were less congested because people knew that they could go to the parking lot and that was a designated area. Historically, it is a bottleneck after bottleneck on our tight little side streets. And I felt like it was lighter this year because we had that on.
I don't know what the magic formula was this year, but it was just so much smoother on so many levels. I'm always down at Buckingham. We didn't have the number of parents last minute saying, oh, I need to drop my kids off. It just, everything went really, really well this year.
Yeah, I think the point about the parking lot, it is working. I'm not just being proud of us for doing it. It would be also stating if I thought it would be a mistake, you know, so it's working. People are just going there now. And that's what I really like. The signage is helping, of course, but if we can get the folks off the roads rather than going into the neighborhoods trying to find what they think might be the closer spot, it does seem like people are just going there now.
And for me, I'm one of the first ones out. I went straight to BIS. Loads of cars were parked there. The park, Buckingham, and Berlin Firehouse, they were moved around. I think with that extra lot, they spread out a lot better. They know their destination, where they're going. Everybody who had the floats had their cars waiting on the other end. They drove a little farther out, not stopping right in front of the firehouse. I think it was a lot smoother in that regard.
yeah, I was going to say.
Having that 200 plus is a plus.
Yeah, the way we run the casino shuttle is it runs on a continuous loop, so people don't have to wait long for the shuttle. It's not done at a certain time, and people become aware of that, they're familiar with that now, so they know that, okay, the shuttle's a good choice because I'm not waiting forever for the shuttle, it's dependable. And because that matters, you go somewhere and sometimes you're waiting forever for the shuttle, and you tend not to park there the next time you come to Berlin, but the consistency of the shuttle, I think, it just helps. I think all of it together was what made the parade a success.
I think it's worthwhile shouting out our partner that does the shuttle for us, which is,
Yeah, the Ocean Downs Casino sponsor our shuttle. They do it, they love to do it. They love to have their casino shuttle going around town. It's a great advertisement for them. So it's win-win for both the town and the casino. And Sarah.
Wanted to just take a minute to thank you all for your support, and particularly Jimmy Charles in Public Works and Arisa Islam, our amazing intern who was out there painting parking spots for the auction. We had 11 spots that we auctioned off. We raised almost $1,000 for the community center, and every single person that parked there was so happy to have that experience. A number of people told me they would have paid more for it if they had to, and I was just really pleased with how it went. I think that personally my talents were wasted monitoring the parking lot. I want my job back next year. Sorry, Laura, I'm coming for you. But I was just really pleased with how smoothly it went and how everybody who participated in the auction, was just very pleased with their experience as well. We had no problems, nobody who didn't belong there trying to get in, or nothing. It was, again, like everything else, super smooth.
thank you all for that.
Thank you.
Arisa. Anything else regarding the parade? Okay, all right. Anything else regarding department head reports in the packet? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the public. Anyone that would like to address the mayor and council? Seeing none. All right, we'll move on to comments from the council, starting with Vice President Burrell.
I just have one thing. I messed around and got mixed up in middle school traffic.
You made a wrong turn, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And usually folks come from the north. They turn on Franklin Avenue and make that right into the parking lot to pick the kids up. But I was going east on Franklin Avenue, and there were a lot
We're
of
talking about
cars.
the old middle school, it's BIS.
BIS.
You're dating yourself. a little bit.
And there were a lot of cars trying to turn into that parking lot going east. And I almost had to go into the doctor office so I could get by. And that was not a positive experience. Most of the cars were close to the center line, so cars could still get through, but some were not. And that put those drivers in a really precarious situation. And I was wondering, is this typical? Because I hadn't been that way for a long time during that time. And if it is, I would like for us to give some consideration, some thought to how we can make that situation better.
I would say it's typical, as having a kid there is pretty typical. That sort of back the vehicles, back up on 113 coming in, and then you have that. And so I used to park in the Peninsula Eye Center, it was like my little cheat. And I would walk across and get my kid and come back over. That was like my figure out the best way to get, but I think it's typical. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm saying I do not believe that was an abnormal occurrence.
It's a shift in attitude, philosophy. More people are driving their kids to and from school. So streets or school bus turns that were designed one way just aren't satisfying it anymore because there's so many more cars, individual cars.
But Franklin Avenue actually stops until it clears itself up.
Yeah.
I made a note just with us talking to the Board of Ed and Superintendent Annette Wallace to just see if there's any way they can improve some of like the traffic control and traffic safety officers that they have. I know they have them at the high school and the middle school, but as they develop Buckingham and as they, next one, I think one of the ones on the replacement list is BOS. So as they start to work through those, just adding some of the traffic control safety officers could be a good thing.
Engineering is the key, and that's what they state. That costs money. That means extending out that entryway a little longer. They don't go ahead and let them double go in, and they have buses and cars moving at the same time. We've already said that the one thing is if you go ahead and have the buses move at one time, cars move at another, you could go ahead and have a different outlook, but that costs money with actual teachers staying a little bit longer, holding students back, and those sort of things. So same thing happens at the middle and the high school for that period of time. Even with the guards, everything stops. You will go ahead and stop and you wait for all the buses to come out. So it's volume at times, and unless you go ahead and change the volume and have more area to go ahead and load them up, you're going to end up with that same problem. We got there said no parking on one side of the street, but you have people parking on both sides, and we have to look at making some decisions like that. But you're going to lose stacking ability and having cars there, and you have to have them put somewhere.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't you said in the past about other school situations that it's really only like 15 or 20 minutes, which if you're in the middle of it, seems like a long, long time. But from from an ongoing day-to-day basis, is the 15 or 20 minutes worth the expense of?
And again, we have the studies, State Highway, Board of Education.
Yeah.
We've all went out there at the same time, and they know that you have to go ahead and have more room, and you have to steal it from the school property to go ahead and stack more cars. You see, if the cars are going halfway to Food Line, you're not going to be able to do anything unless you go ahead and find a place to put them.
All right, anything else? All right, move on. Councilmember Nunn.
Just one thing, I received a call from a local builder, and he had a concern. He was working on a job, doing some work, and he received a stop work order, which really threw him for a loop, because the work he was doing had always been previously allowed without the need for a permit, such as like painting the exterior of a house. It was never a permitted issue. But now all of a sudden, there are things that are permitted, and yet these developers or builders were never notified of any kind of policy change. So that was a concern, not that he had to get a permit, but they were never notified that he needed one.
We haven't changed any like permit requirement policies. I think now the only difference is that we have
We have a code enforcement.
we have our code enforcement officer. So I think that's the difference.
The letter of the code is being followed more correctly, more accurately, and it's difficult to inform a contractor before you know who they are, before they're seen doing the work. At that point, you can.
But when we have, these are all business license holders in the town of Berlin.
Mhm.
So if we're changing, well, you say you're not changing policy, but he's saying there's certain jobs that these guys do that have never required a permit in the past.
That doesn't mean it was correct in the past.
I think it's just the lack of enforcement, and now that we have that enforcement mechanism in place, I think people are becoming more aware of what is truly in the code and what isn't.
Right, we couldn't have.
I don't know what case you're talking about specifically. I'm just
I
saying
want
that,
to-
yeah, that's fine. I'm just
Details.
trying to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like his concern is legitimate because.
If it's in the code that it requires a permit, then it requires a permit. I mean, we haven't changed that.
And we can't, when someone obtains their business license, we can't predict what work they're going to be doing. We
Right.
inform them, by the way, this is in the code, it's been in the code all along.
But all of a sudden, you are enforcing things that have never been enforced, but which is fine. He's
Yeah.
not complaining about that. He's saying it would have been nice to have some kind of notification, which I think the town could easily provide.
As far as what, like Mary's saying, it's hard to predict what services, like Jack's HVAC system might be installing HVAC,
Mhm.
and then might also fix some soffit in the process. We can't predict that they're gonna do soffit work and tell them, okay, that's also in your code that you need to pay for a permit.
just a general message saying, hey, we're now enforcing the code.
I mean, but we should have been doing that in the beginning.
Right.
Hey, we're doing our job now? Yeah, absolutely.
I do understand the frustration, but it's virtually impossible to be preemptive about that kind of
Right,
thing.
and so now he's told to get a permit, which he's fine doing, but he's also given a fine for not having a permit. It's just,
Ignorance of the law.
No, I mean, like, in cases like that, if you can create a plausible reason, you can always request a waiver or something like that. There is a process for that as well.
yeah.
But like Mary said, not knowing that it was the law, I don't think that works for the chief.
No.
I didn't know, chief. I didn't know that. I didn't.
And I think that
Breaking the law.
having code enforcement in place now, these things will smooth out, but there's going to be an adjustment period for everyone.
And keep in mind, that's what we want. We all want good enforcement. Like now we're getting it. My phone rings all the
The
time.
exterior of a house, I mean, does that really require a permit?
If our
Apparently it
code
does.
says it does, then it does. If you want to change the code, we can
I mean, we can
into
take a
that.
look at some of those things. I mean, we're certainly looking at the code for other mechanisms
yeah.
as well, because it is ambiguous on some
A
things.
lot of things, yeah.
But, so if you notice areas and you're like, hey, Zach, like, this is really missing the mark, it's kind of gray, I can see where somebody could get this wrong. That's for all of you. That's what we're gonna be doing. Mary said that's one of her big projects for the first of the year. We're gonna start going through the town code to figure out what needs to be improved. So if you come across something, homework for all of us, right? So we're here to make it easier. We understand that sometimes it is difficult to understand things. You shouldn't have to be an attorney to do it. So if we can make it easy and digestible for the citizens, that's our goal.
It should be a very smooth process.
I don't disagree with that.
And it is very important to remember that at the end of the day, the code enforcement official is enforcing the code that you all tell them to enforce. That's what's in the books. Whether you agree with it, and if you don't agree with something that a previous council felt was important, then the discussion
There's a
about
process to
changing
change
it
it, yep.
it's not difficult to change the code, but it does need to be a thoughtful process.
I think that, and I'm not really familiar with the situation that we're referring to, it just, I guess it's from going from a gray area to where it's black and white, you know, you're right, we talk about this, I think I even commented, we're all gonna stand behind the code enforcement officer. But I guess in Councilman Ner's position, you hear it, and it sounds probably is perceived as unfair, by the developer who is gonna have to put his guys, pay his guys for the day and not be able to work. I mean, and I guess this is the thing, right? I feel like, because it is black and white, the code's black and white, but we're in a world of gray. Are we being too tough, I guess, at that point? Are we being too strict? Should we be showing some grace? I'm just opening conversation.
Well, and I will say, if I may, that history does repeat itself, right? So the town had code enforcement.
Yeah.
Code was enforced. No code enforcement. Code was not enforced. Code enforcement and officer in place, code enforced again. I will say that cycle kind of followed feedback, right? People didn't like the fact that the code was being enforced, so then code enforcement was phased out. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
And so to ask for code enforcement,
Right.
we then have to stand behind the code enforcement, right? Now, is there a way to do that? And I have watched Janita at work, and I think she does do that. In the areas where she has the ability, she tries to work with residents. She's not coming out there with an iron fist saying, we're going to start
Right,
here.
right, I know examples of that.
I know that she's doing her diligence to make it personable in Berlin. So I want to support her in that, and I want to support the planning department. But it does create times where people reach out and they're like, I didn't know. Well, okay, now we do, right? So let's move forward, let's make sure it doesn't happen again.
So why couldn't the warning have gone like that?
I don't know the
Stop work
situation,
order.
I don't know the situation you're
Could have
talking
been,
about,
hey,
so I
you
can't
need
side
permit
on
or
it. But
could have got a permit.
what I will say is that Janita usually has a reason for whatever level she gets to.
So what is the process now? Since we've never had one since I've been around until a year or so ago for a code enforcement official, what is the process? Is it automatically straight to stop work? I guess, or does it depend on what it is?
I can't answer that. It may depend on what it is. It comes down to the language of the code, and I can't recite every different facet of the code. It may depend on what the nature is, it may depend on was a request or warning given and ignored.
So do we give?
I don't know.
Are you aware of, do we give warnings? Or is it straight to, that you don't know?
I truly can't answer that. I don't.
Yeah, I've watched her.
Minutia.
They do give warnings.
I've watched her give
Process
warnings
is.
before to citizens and things of that nature.
So what is
Now-
it, like you have 5 hours to complete?
Now, I don't, like I said, I don't know the specifics of what level of action rises to which occasion. But I do know that in the past, she has given warnings and corrective feedback. So that makes me wonder if somebody got slammed with stop work order, is there maybe a little bit more to the story? I don't know, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the process as it is so I can understand what some of the concerns.
And I think that through that, right, like as we look at the code, if we find things that we want to alter, then we have that dialogue with the planning department to figure out what the best enforcement routes are. Do we have a gradual enforcement? Do we start with certain things? Is it kind of gray about where we go? And do we start with a warning? Do we start with citations? That's stuff we can have conversations about, but it's very difficult to pull without knowing the backstory.
Yeah.
Anything else? No, that's it. Councilmember Ward?
Okay, well, I just want everyone to think about the movie The Grinch, because I have one thing that my heart's going to go through 3 sizes too big. So I've been receiving feedback from residents. I mentioned it last meeting about the Tyndalltown area and the parking on both sides for school drop-off. Chief had said to reach out to the schools directly. I'm not sure if parents who had heard that have done that. I can go ahead and do that. But I'm more interested in, I'm more concerned right now with the status of no parking on West. So just to be clear, because perhaps there is some confusion, the no parking on West all the way down was all the time, right? Not just for events?
All the time.
All the time, okay. I think that, we're gonna say it now, I think that needs to be a reminder, a friendly reminder for folks, because there have been reports to me that folks are parking on West again.
And the report should be to the police department. It has to be to the police
Sure.
department. When you look at the actual.
I did email you today.
The vehicles that were there are actually on the side where the signs were already and not where the new ones were put. And I'm like, Christmas time, you're gonna have people that have 8 people over, and if they park in front, and somebody's having difficulty going across, you're gonna have to call, you're gonna have to knock on the doors and say, hey, we have a space a little farther down the road that you can be able to park, or whatever it might be.
And I'm-
Shuttle in.
Yeah, I
But,
understand, but
again,
we're talking about enforcement.
But the police department has been
Actually
enforcing
went ahead and told everyone to make sure you make rides down West Street and make sure the grace period is over. Because the first thing we said, give them a grace period. So
So when did that end? That was
I guess it just ended today.
Good answer.
And again, if.
It ended right now.
Anybody's know that everybody should put on notice, period, for sure.
All right.
I like that.
Because they
I need that on a button.
The email went out to everyone in the office.
Hey.
But to Chief's point, we can't emphasize strongly enough, the appropriate office must be contacted when the thing occurs. They just must. That's the only way it's gonna adequately be addressed.
But you know, people don't always.
Oh, I know, no, I know, I do know that.
And they're gonna ask for grace after we go ahead and give them the ticket too.
Then you say Councilmember Orris said no.
I'm just encouraging people to reach out
You get it.
directly to the police department or directly to code enforcement.
And to be honest, again, the cars in front, we'll be able to knock on doors and say, hey, you know, the signs are right here, and be able to work with them. But definitely action that needs to be taken, and if we have the information, we'll be able to do it.
Well, thank you, Chief. I know that you're going into a next chapter, so thank you for doing that. And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
for your service. So moving on now to my Grinch, heart, big is, I just want to
Oh, I
give
thought
a
that
shout
was you issuing fines.
That was the Grinch, that was him.
That was the heart.
That was now it's the, I do want to give a shout out to everyone who worked on the parade. It was very successful. And going through those and being in them for these couple of years, I do believe that actually was the smoothest. And we were done by like 8:45 or something like that. So it was What was that?
It was 8:40.
8:40, oh, excuse me, sorry. So it was great. I also want to give kudos, well, to everyone involved with the parade and Ice Ice Berlin. I thought was also excellent for everyone. So like, it was echoed earlier, great events, but I'm glad that I was able to participate in them. And finally, we have a birthday up here coming up. So I want to give a happy birthday to Mr. Councilmember Green over here. Happy birthday, at 25, right?
25.
Yeah. So, happy birthday. And my last thing is, obviously last meeting in December, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone, and also a safe, Happy New Year. So,
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah as well.
And that's not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Thursday, December
And we
18th,
have the
5
lighting.
o'clock. Town of Berlin, menorah lighting in Berlin.
Thank you guys, all I have for 2025. Unless I doubled it.
That's okay. None of that. Deactivate the mic.
No.
Right, turn them off. Just, I really wanted to provide a update on the parking situation in Berlin. We have been meeting quite a bit. Councilman Nur, the Mayor Tyndall, and Town Administrator, and other staff members. We have been going around. I think we're doing our due diligence. I think we are working hard. And one of the reasons why we wanted to just address it tonight was for transparency of what you may be hearing along the way. So we're still at the subcommittee process, of course, working with private property owners that have the quasi parking lots that appear to be public, but they're really privately owned. But we also have merchants that are now involved, and it's been a good group, I think. We're still working through a lot of the things. You know, I think we've gone from wanting paid parking during events, or paid parking during events, to some new dynamics now where there is, it shouldn't be a surprise that there is opposition to paid parking, but there are some folks that are really proposed some creative ideas to, in lieu of paid parking, changing things with licensing. Really at this point, we have a process that's getting ready to play out where some of the business owners in town have offered to conduct a survey with Ivy Wells' help and the mayor's office with creating a survey. So we're at the point now where we're going to be gathering input from business owners, merchants, and then, as you all know, the process will continue to play out. You all will hear more about this, but with the survey about to be going public, if it hasn't already, wanted you all to hear from us that this is happening. It's an opportunity. We're really trying to build consensus on a controversial topic. And, you know, I think we've taken a respectful tone to everyone, that we realize we have about $1 million in infrastructure costs for our lots that we need to pay for. But we want to do it in a way that's working together with the majority of the folks. You know, we're going to find a solution that appeases everyone, probably not, but sometimes that's the best outcome, honestly. But in the meantime, we're trying to build collaboration and communicating. So that's really where we are. We don't have an answer yet, but I wanted you all to know, if you did hear about a survey going around, that is because some business owners have offered to go out and get the pulse of the merchants in town, and Ivy's office is helping with that. And I think it's been a great effort so far. You know, we're chasing our tails a little bit, I think, because sometimes with the meeting, I was very perplexed at what we heard last week as far as a proposal from the business owners. But paid parking is a major concern, even just during events. So we're working through it. Mayor, if you have anything else to add, that was really my comments for tonight.
I'll just add that through the parking subcommittee process, in addition to the survey, we are going to have a public meeting with the businesses. It won't be a closed meeting, but it is designed for the press, just so that you're aware. It is really a place where we're hoping that the businesses can come together with the parking subcommittee to provide further feedback on the survey data. We hope to have an open forum where we can all speak candidly. You're welcome to attend as well if you would like, but just know that the goal is to have a candid discussion about the survey results, and anybody that would like to add more than what 4 or 5 questions have to offer. So with that too, I will share that when we originally started talking about this, doing the work that we do in public, folks came to the meeting and said that it was already a decided issue. The town of Berlin was going to implement paid parking no matter what, that our minds were made up. And I think through this process, it's substantiated what we said that night, and that we're really open to dialogue, and we're really trying to solve a challenge, which is over $1 million in capital cost to improve parking lots and our parking downtown infrastructure. So with that, an idea like Steve said that came up was the idea that we could maybe adjust fees a little bit instead of having paid parking. And none of us would have thought that. So it's sitting there, and Councilmember Nur wasn't able to make the last meeting, but he's been integral in the parking subcommittee and attended many of the others. We would have never thought that, right? Like, that was not an idea that came to mind. So is it the done deal? No, absolutely not. But it's an idea that we are pursuing further, and we'll do our diligence on it and get the feedback that we can, and then we'll move on and we'll report out to the group. So now, even if you're interested, council members, we ask that we still keep it to the subcommittee group. So that's Councilmember Green and Councilmember Nur, and the businesses. But if you do attend or plan to attend, we aren't going to restrict that. Just let us know so we can publish that it'll be a quorum. All right.
I just wanted to clarify, when we're talking about fees, we're not talking about fees to the residents, fees for the businesses, for
Thank you.
property owners.
Thank you.
Not to the residents.
Thank you. Yes.
Just wanted to clarify.
When do you want me?
January
It's
14th, 8:30 a.m.
During our meeting.
8:30?
Yes, we're going to have a nice large sampling of responses from business owners that they can't attend, that hopefully their surveys will address any concerns they have or support for it.
All right, let's shift gears for a moment. Chief, you weren't at our last meeting, but you had tons of folks up here, and the department heads wishing you well following your retirement announcement. So on behalf of all of us, I do want to say thank you for your service. We said it that night, but you weren't here, so I'm going to reiterate it for all of us. Decades of service to the town of Berlin and to the citizens, capstoning a fundamental career as the chief of police. We couldn't ask for a better person to serve in that capacity. And I said that night that I had the honor of working with you as a paramedic in town, and then as a council member, and then now as the mayor. I wish you the best in your retirement. And I know that this is your last meeting, but on behalf of all of us, Jack, if you want to cue the applause. Thank you so much.
And I thank everyone. Again, 34 and a half years, you can't make it this long without God being in your life, number one. And the support of so many council members, so many mayors, and administrative directors. Again, 34 years is a long time. And during that whole time, I've felt the support of a wonderful town, and I couldn't ask for anything more. And I think that when we talk about the coolest small town, we get to go ahead and take that title and run around with it. The best schools, we have the best healthcare, and I believe we have some of the best guys in law enforcement. And again, I am blessed to be a part of the community. I'm retiring from a position, but not the community. So I hope everybody understands that. And we'll see what God has for me next. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Nur asked if we could get a group picture, even though we don't have Councilmember Nichols here with us. Why don't we get Chief, if you can come up, we'll get the mayor and council down. You want to do it up here with his flags? Let's do that. Mayor, come on in. Join the club.
Sir, don't come here.
You can be the stand-in for Councilmember Nichols. Vice President Burrell, and I'll get Chief.
Yeah.
You're going to have enough room?
I think so.
That's your step.
It's just in the studio,
You can come up. Just be careful.
Yeah. Please don't fall.
You can get in the center too.
Oh, yeah, come over.
We'll look one at a time.
Okay, you go first.
Yeah, picture, no,
Yeah.
not.
Hey. We work friends.
Why do I always smile?
smile when someone else sitting here like,
I did ask, thank you, Chief. I did ask Kelsey before we started if I had Brussels sprouts in my tea. Hopefully I don't. Well, the chair's gonna run you over for making that comment.
I'll be waiting for sure.
Thank you.
Like this, just make it.
Oh, good to hear. Okay. No, I'll just leave this.
Staying in line with the police department, I do want to announce that since the chief of police is retiring, Lieutenant Fisher, not a new name to anybody that's been in town for a while, but he will be taking over in the interim capacity as the chief of police. So we're still in good hands, even though the chief is going to be retiring. So thank you so much, Chief, and Lieutenant Fisher. We appreciate your service to the town of Berlin as well. All right, let's see. Up next, we had the Historic District Commission meeting, what was it, last week?
Last Wednesday.
Everything's coming together now with the holidays and everything. So with that, the Historic District Commission approved the facade for the Town of Berlin Town Hall renovation. The feedback, we did have some dialogue about the front facade work and came together on trying to make it better and fit more historically. The double doors they really liked, but we are going to remove the molding around the door, creating a little bit more of a seamless finish like what we have now. And then, what else was it? They really liked the cornice work at the top, and they liked the shifting the sign from the shiny like vinyl metal to the more like historic wood-ish looking
Appearing,
sign.
yeah.
So with that, that did make it through the HDC. One of the questions from the members came up with was, are we going to do the work 100%? And the answer was, well, we hope to do the work, but we don't know. It is an add alternate on the bid documents. So if anybody's looking at the bid documents that are live now, you'll see that that is, if funding allows, we will tackle the front facade of the town hall. I think that's the Historic District Commission. Did I miss anything, Mary?
No, I think that's it.
All right. And then we had a request come in from the Maryland State Firemen's Association and local President David Fitzgerald. He had brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago regarding the opportunity to maybe host the Maryland State Firemen's Association parade here in Berlin. With that, it's typically been held in the town of Ocean City. The Maryland State Firemen's Association has seen a decline in their participation because it's held on a Wednesday. So they solicited some feedback from their membership and found that others would likely attend more if it was on a weekend because it becomes difficult with work with having it on a Wednesday. So taking that feedback, the Maryland State Firemen's Association engaged in some dialogue with the town of Ocean City about shifting that to a Saturday. I think logistically at the beach, that just wasn't doable. So then they started to look in the periphery of Ocean City, Berlin being one of those and the one that rose to the top. Fitzgerald asked if it was something we would be willing to entertain. And I made it clear that the mayor and council have worked with the chamber as well as other members of the public that want to host events to understand that our town staff and their weekends, we really want to protect that as much as possible. So I noted that staffing the event would be one of the harder things or the heavier lifts that we would have on our forefront of our mind as we explored this. And he understood that, but he explained that typically the Firemen's Association will bring in a large group of volunteers that have worked with the sheriff's office to get deputized for the day to serve in fire police capacity. So hopefully staffing the event would fall more on the applicant, which would be the Maryland State Firemen's Association in the town. Speaking with Ivy, it does fall, I think it's likely going to fall on the Juneteenth holiday weekend. Speaking with Mary, if there is staff that want to come in and assist or may see it as a requirement to assist if it's something that the council approves, that we would be able to carry that holiday and provide some flexibility there for another 3-day weekend. But keeping in mind that it is a town holiday, so if folks have plans, we want to honor those. Additionally, the way that the flow would work, or well, the other topic that was front and center on my mind when I talked to President Fitzgerald was the business community. So if we shut down Main Street for a period of time, I said, look, you got to really help it be a net positive for the downtown businesses. So in his capacity with the chamber, he said he would carry that workload. So hopefully that'll be done, the due diligence process through President Fitzgerald and a member of the chamber. The parade would occur from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in that time frame. The queuing of fire trucks would likely occur down at the Worcester County Athletic Fields. They would come through Main Street, not really stopping anywhere for an event. They typically they would start down at the inlet lot, they would run up Baltimore Avenue, and then go over to the convention center. We don't have a convention center. They're not going to queue up at the firehouse afterward. They're going to head out north on Main Street to Route 50, where they would have fire police there as well assisting. They'd make the right-hand turn and then head over to the casino for the final party or gathering following the parade. That's what I know so far. I think it fits with the town's mission as far as bringing that type of activity to Berlin, but really the lift needs to be on the Firemen's Association. With that, time is of the essence for their planning side of things. So I've asked if they can plan to be here at our first meeting in January to make a formal presentation to the Mayor and Council. I also think David sent over some stuff that's in all of our inboxes. I have not had a chance to read it. I did acknowledge that we received it and that we would be discussing it preliminarily.
It just runs through what you just spoke to.
Well, then, hey, okay. Any questions by the body? Any feedback? Or go ahead.
Sure. So since we talked earlier today and listening to how the parade would run, the first thought that comes to my mind is similar to the torch run or to a 5K, where we don't necessarily have to close the road for the entire time. We could have it just closed just for the time where they're parading through with an escort at the front and an escort in the back, and then we wouldn't have to go through the state necessarily to close the road
We're
during.
probably going to need to close it. It's big.
Yeah, and they mentioned a time, now whether they're talking about run time or closure time, they're talking 2 o'clock to 4 to 5 p.m. Could be as much as 3
Right,
hours.
so I guess my question would be to Dave would be, how many fire trucks are we talking about? Several hundred. Okay, well then,
Yeah.
never mind.
So likely what would happen is if they queued at the ball fields, they could exit by Buckingham Lane and Worcester Prep. They could come onto Main Street by Buckingham Cemetery, and then they could travel in their lane of travel through to probably like where we start the Christmas parade, or even Buckingham Presbyterian Church, before they start to take the full lane itself. And then maybe take the full, both lanes of travel, so that it would be shut down to oncoming traffic from Buckingham Presbyterian to the firehouse. And then they can get back over their lane of travel and head out of town.
Sometimes the fire companies bring multiple pieces of equipment, and you could always put a limit on that. So
That's true. I mean, we're talking a
I
very
think
different
that-
environment than what they worked in Ocean City. So, yeah, some concessions may be needed.
Well, they only occupied, so that you could still travel Baltimore Avenue. I think, I'm pretty sure you can still travel Baltimore Avenue. I hope, no? I've never been here.
St. Louis.
Okay, all right, well then, never mind. But I think that
We'll
you're
need to talk
talking
to them.
several hundred fire trucks, I do know that.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool for the kids and the kids at heart. I like a shiny ding ding wagon as much as the next person. Well, ding ding wagon.
Well, so, I mean, I'm open to, I mean, I have some other questions, but if they're already gonna present, I think.
They'll
that's
be
the
here to
time
help answer some of the
Yeah, but are they
questions.
looking for something tonight, like
No,
guys?
No.
Just
Oh,
feedback, yep.
Then-
And if there's a specific question you would like, it'd be helpful for Ivy to hear it or me to hear it. Or if it comes to mind after the meeting, send it over.
Okay.
So that they can be prepared to discuss it when they come before us.
Yeah, I would just like to hear a little bit more about, and I did call President Fitzgerald because I was curious about it. I mean, been following the demise of the parade in Ocean City for many years. Last year it only took 40 minutes because it's just falling apart, frankly, you know. So I think they're looking for a new lease on life, which I think is exciting that Berlin was on the radar. And I just would like to hear a little bit more from them about how they plan to support the businesses. You mentioned that they were going to roll out of town and go outside of town. But I think that there's efforts underway to try to make sure that there is a positive impact to the town of Berlin. You know,
So David and I talked about that too, and I talked about it with Ivy as well when we were going over it over the phone. And the thing is that when you say it takes 40 minutes currently, yeah, I mean, but it used to be a 3-hour parade.
Absolutely.
And you would get there at 8 a.m., you'd line up, you'd have your apparatus there, and then you would go patronize the businesses downtown in Ocean City. So I said to David, let's try to do the same thing, right? Let's see if we can get them to queue up, get their apparatus there, and then maybe we work with the shuttles to be able to bring them downtown to get lunch and stuff. They used to do the same thing before the parade starts. And then also you're not going to get the folks that are driving the apparatus that then are going to linger for dinner.
Sure.
However, the folks that they draw in to watch could potentially bolster a Saturday night
Absolutely.
dinner.
All family
I
members.
think-
Yeah.
Can you make a note that if they're going to queue up in the area of the athletic fields, they need to talk to the county too?
And Mr. Fitzgerald, he did give me a call as well, and he, not to interrupt you, and he, I just mentioned the fact that this is also a holiday 3-day weekend, so there's plenty of, I would think, there's plenty of opportunity to market to our businesses here in town as well. But that's up to them. I mean, for me, my concerns would be, I would like to know and get kind of a solid reasoning on their volunteer base and how they can do this without impacting our staff necessarily, unless our staff want to be involved. And a little bit more concrete on I know it's in the afternoon, and I know that it doesn't stop. They just kind of go through and you look at them and you're ding ding or whatever. And
Ding ding wagon.
Ding ding wagon. I would just like to a little bit more on the closure part and their fire police deputized folks. But those are my business closure staff.
I agree.
Ivy, do we have any town events or chamber events running the weekend before or after? Which you're aware of?
That's the reason.
So the bathtub kind of moved, right?
Off the top of my head, I don't know,
So
but
Juneteenth is typically the bathtub races, right? So it moved forward a week.
Yeah.
Because of the
We're back.
So that would be on the 12th instead.
Maybe it might have moved back, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh,
Maybe
But-
that's 26.
no, the only thing on Flower Street is the Memorial Day Parade.
26 leaves.
It's the bathtub races moved back.
All right, while we're looking that up,
Yeah, sorry.
I have some other stuff. Let's see. Steve Pham threw me off with boasting about your birthday. Because I looked at Chelsea, I said, I know I have Steve's birthday in here, did I miss it? So it's upcoming.
It is
It
upcoming.
is- That was a early celebration.
That was a
You were
early-
celebrating
that was-
49, right?
That's right. Still 49.
He was celebrating.
He was
still being-
That's what I'm saying.
Celebrating being alive, right?
Matt, well, hey, don't joke like that. All right, let's see. I think that's everything on my list. We've talked about the thank yous for the Christmas parade work and everybody, I sent everybody an email too. Thanking you all. You go above and beyond to be able to make Berlin a wonderful place to come visit. Jimmy and your team and Ivy and Tim with tree lighting, moving the location of the stage, my colleagues joining me for that. So it's been a good kickoff to the holiday season. I'm looking forward to the menorah lighting, not this Thursday, the next Thursday. It's lit up entirely now, but on Sunday, it'll shift and it'll go in sequence for the nights of Hanukkah, which we're lighting on the fifth night. So no more than 5 candles. So you all plan to be there?
Yes.
Good deal. All right, that's all I have. Let's see, Vice President Burrell, motion, or no comments from the press, I'm sorry. Nothing? Okay, all right.
So the bathtub races are June 12th.
I'm sorry.
All right, Vice President Burrell, motion to adjourn?
Wait,
I beat you. Can I have one thing?
Yes.
Next year, 2026 is 250th anniversary of the United States. We
that's right.
don't know if we have anything thought about.
The
or-
museum.
The museum's
The
doing
museum
something.
So-
is doing
Yeah.
some stuff.
Yeah.
And the Christmas parade.
The Christmas parade thing will be
based around.
One thing that I always like too is the way that they mount the flags to the electric poles sometimes. So maybe you and Tim can look at,
We just got an invitation to buy special flags.
Actually, you put them on the fence
Facing
in
your
your
box.
park. I don't think they were on the pole, were
Okay.
they? Yeah.
but I like the traditional American flag. And if we could look at maybe finding a way to mount flagpole, like the holder to the telephone poles, and then like Flag Day, Maryland Day, like all that stuff, we can kind of embrace that. Okay, so let's collaborate with Jay, and all things flags and kites that fly, and we'll figure something out. But I think that could be a
We
cool
will
little
throw in the trash
entryway
at the end of that.
into town.
And I am looking at brackets, we were gonna, Tim Fisher was gonna take me down to the VOTEC,
Okay,
and I'm looking at getting some brackets made to put on certain poles
okay.
that the VOTEC can maybe, we'll buy the material, but maybe they could weld them up,
That's
You don't
awesome.
have
because they're hard to find.
I sure they will.
Okay.
I'll show you where.
Okay.
All right, yeah, that'd be cool. But I think
You'll work
anything we
with
can do
Tim
to
on
help,
what poles to put them on and how to put them on there.
anything we can do to help celebrate, any ideas anybody has, we're open to it. All right, Vice President Brother.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Warris, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, the record reflects. Votes unanimous from Councilmember Nichols.
One more thing, I'm sorry. I'd like to say thank you to Mary Hedleski for braving the cold as one of our